All right. Well, welcome everyone. Want to thank everybody joining us today. Hope you're having a wonderful day. Today we are joined by Brian Anderson. He is CTO with Cato Networks. Looking forward to finding out more about Cato and figuring out how we can future future proof your tech stack. I know we did a lot of research before starting to work with Cato and wanted to make sure that we were, doing business with the right organization. And, all the things that we did, all the companies we looked at, Cato checked all the boxes for us. So before we get started on Cato, I think we'll give you just a quick review of who we are, and then Brian's going to go into what Cato's can do for you, and then at the end, it's going to really come out of how we can really help you together. Because I think together we have a great shared message, and we can do a lot of great things together. So just real quickly, for those of you that don't know us or maybe not know all the things we do, we're a channel-only company. We focus on multi-product, multi-location enterprise organizations. We are an MSP, we are an aggregator, and we are a TEM service. We have a single source management council, and this next one, we're very highly regarded for our project management and our customer experience. Those are two of the things that help us gain additional business over the course of time and helps keep our attrition rate extremely low because we take care of our customers and we manage them very well. And then for those of you that may have MSPs or other types of organizations, we can completely white label our entire solution for you. So I think those are good things to think about as we're walking through this. So again, I'm not going to spend a ton of time on this, but if you look at this is how we're built and this is how we're made up. We are a lifecycle management company. We can do single source billing and pay. We have a complete central inventory repository for all the things that you do in tech. We project manage everything. We can create operational and financial efficiencies. We are a managed service provider. We can manage virtually any SD-WAN service out there. We don't have to sell it, but we can manage it, co-manage it, report on it. We can now do that with a lot of cloud services too, Azure, AWS. We can do NOC as a service. We roll trucks across the nation and the world. And then we can give you all the services that you need to buy also. So just we are more of a one-stop shop with a single portal that controls everything. This is just a quick view of what that portal looks like. Every one of your locations would be with a pin, shows you what the weather is in that, shows you what the status of all your devices are, what tickets are open, your orders, all the reporting, your billing, everything you need to get to is down the left-hand side. And anybody that needs more information about this, more than glad to do a deep dive walkthrough about this. But think about this when you're thinking about all the things that Cato's going to be telling you. We're pulling all this together into a single platform for you. And again, one more thing here, we can touch all these types of devices. We can give you a monitor. We can monitor anything with an IP address, and this is a selection of a lot of things we can do, a lot of things we can report on. So as you're going through and looking at your customers' networks, think about this. There's a lot of devices and applications and hardware and all these things that we can do that we can pull together for you. And then best-in-class project management. I can't talk about this enough. We fully project manage the entire solution, and we bring you through this very orderly. And we have two great project management groups. We have one that's all the intake, gets everything into the system, all for the billing, for the inventory, for all those things. And then another group that does all the implementations. So we've got both sides. They are very good at what they do on both sides. And think about this as you're looking at Cato, our project management team is going to partner with Cato's project management team, and you get best in breed service to make sure these things go in correctly, go in well, and work correctly. And now it's Brian's turn.
Hi, everyone. My name is Brian Anderson. I'm the Global Field CTO here at Cato Networks, and happy to talk to you today about how we can future-proof your stack as we talk about this joint value proposition with a partnership here. So historically, networking and security has been comprised of a variety of point solutions. And each one of those point solutions provides a very specific feature and function. There's come in the form of hardware appliances, and every one of those appliances would have its own policy set, its own console, and they are separate context, if you will, with separate means of remediating or blocking or mitigating specific sets of risk. Well, this has, over the course of time, proven to be ineffective and not scalable. The sheer number of solutions that one enterprise has to manage is between 60 and 70 individual solutions between 10 to 15 different vendors, according to Gartner. And so this is just a challenging model, and it doesn't work for today's architecture at scale. So what we're going to talk about today is kind of a newer model of that. It's going to be something that is converging these things together into a single platform approach. Gartner tells us that you can't solve tomorrow's problems with the solutions from yesterday. So we're looking at the new model of convergence, merging security and networking into a single platform where we're able to have a single console and a single set of policies in a single context. And we'll talk more about that in a moment. Gartner kind of helped to define the category of SASE, a secure access service edge, in 2019, but Cato was founded in 2015 and really helped to define the standard of what that is. And in 2024, Cato was named a leader in the Gartner Magic Quadrant for single vendor SASE. And so this is kind of a demonstration of where we sit kind of in that magic quadrant, validation from Gartner and other elements other analysts in the industry as well, with Forrester. And so what does that mean for us? Essentially, let's talk about some of the terms, because I know that there's a lot of, we'll call them buzzwords, passed around in the industry, and we'll just want to clarify what it is that we're talking about. So SSE, or Secure Service Edge, is really a collection of a couple of capabilities. One of them would be Zero Trust Network Access. And essentially, this is a VPN, remote access technology to give you access to different resources in your environment. And then we have Secure Web Gateway, or SWG, as it's referred to as. This is the internet protection for folks going out to the egress sites outside of your network and providing threat-based protection against that. So capabilities where you go, limit access to bad websites or websites that are risky. You can have something like a remote browser isolation capability to give you a secure method of accessing those websites. Lastly, in SSE, something called CASB, or Cloud Access Security Broker. And this is really handles securely accessing hosted applications. Your ServiceNow, your Salesforce, your Dropbox, hosted services that are cloud-based, where your corporate environments use those applications, and handling something called shadow IT. Shadow IT is the footprint of technologies that are used by an environment, and they will have the ability to upload sensitive things there. We want to understand what the total footprint of that technology that's used by an organization, and be able to manage that risk and provide secure access to those resources. So that is what Secure Access Service Edge is typically comprised of. And then there's something called Secure Access Service Edge, or SASE. And there's a couple of additional capabilities that are wrapped into the definition of this. Again, this is kind of defined by Gartner and different analysts in the space to kind of put some parameters around what this category means. But this incorporates something like Firewall-as-a-Service. So in addition to Zero Trust and SWG and CASB, we now have a single place managed at a cloud level to manage all your firewall rules. And this is for site-to-site communication. We call that WAN connectivity, or internet firewall, for example, or even LAN security, managing firewall policies within a network within your environment. And then lastly, SD-WAN, or software-defined wide area network, is the connectivity between your different edges, your different sites. And this is branch locations, offices, the data centers, and clouds. Essentially, whatever that connectivity piece is that connects all of your assets together, including remote access with zero trust network access. This is the solution of SASE, or the category of SASE as analysts have defined it. There's a couple of other capabilities that are now kind of deemed as necessary or a part of the SASE category. There's also data loss prevention, or DLP. And this is really looking at who is using what kind of data and in what way. Where is that data going? Is someone accidentally sending data to a place that is not intended, that's sensitive? Monitoring what kind of data is being used in your environment is what data loss prevention is about. And then there's IPS, or intrusion prevention, as well. So this is enterprise-grade security services that you can run to say, do I have exploits that are attempted to be leveraged in my environment, or is there bad IP addresses? Is there bad sites? So IPS is a service looking at all the traffic within your environment and including the egress traffic to the internet, being able to mitigate and block against things that are known to be malicious or things that match known CVEs or attacks in that way. Then we have next-gen anti-malware, or NGAM, as it's referred to as well, endpoint protection against cyber threats that are happening at the host level. So all of these technologies in the previous slide were different capabilities that have been procured individually to solve that individual problem. And SASE is the converged approach to put all these technologies together into one platform to deal with this in a more simple and streamlined or converged way. So at Cato, we keep things simple. We connect your headquarters, your data centers, your branch locations, your cloud environments, and your mobile devices to your applications for users anywhere in the world. So MPLS networks are expensive and they provide limited bandwidth and connectivity. So Cato provides a global backbone at an affordable cost, giving you connectivity between all of your environments. And we secure that traffic. We have enterprise-grade security that will inspect all ports and all protocols between all of your different edges of the different networks that we're connecting together. So you don't need to backhaul any traffic or sacrifice on security for the outcomes that you're looking for. And lastly, we help you secure and manage that all from a single platform and a single interface. Cato makes it very simple. As I mentioned earlier, the sheer number of solutions that a single organization would have to manage. Cato provides you a single API, a single console, a single policy set, a single data store, a data lake, and a single AI engine to manage all of these technologies converged together. So this is a little preview into our backbone and some of the data centers or POPs that we have to provide that global backbone. We have tier 1 providers that we are deployed in. We deploy in internet exchange locations and are paired with many of the clouds that you are already probably deployed in. What's interesting to note here is that this is not a collection of other technologies that were purchased and integrated together. Cato developed all of our technology, rewriting the TCP/IP stack and inspection components. All of this is built from the ground up and proprietary to Cato. Every one of our points of presence has hardware that we deploy. We own the hardware, we own the software, we own the network. So all the capabilities that we're describing today are something that is natively built and natively designed to be a platform as a service, delivering security connectivity for all of those locations that you see. And we expand these typically 2 to 3 data centers per quarter has been kind of the growth rate historically, but we want to be as close to our customers as we can. A real-time statistic here for connectivity to one of our POPs. No matter where you are in the world, you're probably only 10 to 15 milliseconds away from one of our points of presence, and that gets you access to a global backbone that is built as a mesh. So this is a global mesh network here. When we hear the term SASE and we hear the term SSE, there's a lot of solutions out there, but it's important to ask the question and double click under the hood to see what that architecture looks like. In many cases, the remote access network will be separate from the network for SD-WAN connectivity. In Cato's example, this is a single network and a single context that's shared. We'll talk more about that in a moment. But one last thing to highlight here is that every one of these data centers or points of presence has identical capability. So you're not going to go to one data center for one function and backhaul to another data center to another function. This is a global private mesh that we've created, providing that connectivity even inside and outside of China. So we handle the China problem as well from a connectivity perspective.
And Brian, I know that A lot of people out there hear this term with you guys that it's your fabric. Is that what you're considering your fabric? I heard it called you called it the mesh, but I hear that term out there also. Is that what you're
Mhm.
talking about?
Absolutely. Let's say it's a fabric. Basically, we give you a global network. As soon as you connect one of your edge locations to us, all of this is now connected over one network. It doesn't matter where you are in the world. We make it very, very simple. But yeah, that's the fabric that we're describing, that global mesh capability. Thank you. And so it essentially here we have the Cato POPs, so the Cato network. This is the global network represented by this green circle here. We have something we call SPACE, or Single Pass Cloud Engine. Now, earlier when I mentioned that there are different solutions that perform different functions, each one of those solutions has its own context, right? When I see an event coming in, I know about only the context from that particular technology that I'm able to inspect. And then typically, if there are many of those solutions, which historically there have been, those all go into a SIM. And so incident and event management system would take in all this data. Then we have the challenge of trying to make sense of that. Well, the benefit here with a single cloud and a single point of inspection is that we have an ability to enrich and normalize all of that data to a single data lake. So it's not like we're collecting some information from the LAN and some information from my VPN users and some information for this application. All of that information is normalized and enriched from the DNS queries to application access to authentication and everything. So this is all stored within a single data lake. And so around some of the additional capabilities that we have, there is optimization that happens. So if you connect from Australia or from China or from New York, and you want to get to San Diego, which is where I'm hosted here, or based out of, we will optimize the traffic and routing to get all the way to whatever destination is that you're looking to go to. And we can also control any of that traffic as well. Let's say you have one application that's hosted in a certain region, we can create network rules to egress traffic close to where that destination is for anywhere on the globe. So because we own the network, we can also control and we can help optimize that network. And we have self-healing capabilities. The slide that I shared previously with all the data centers and points of presence, there's a process that runs called Cato D that lives on servers that are within our POPs, and we can route to each one of those instances within each one of these servers. So if something goes down or something happens, it's resilient. It will automatically heal and pass to the next one. So this cloud is infinitely scalable by CPU and network capacity by the way that it's designed. If I have more CPUs and more servers, I now have more capacity. If I have more network, I can then scale laterally in that way. So by the native design that we have that is platform based, it really allows us to scale aggressively for what we're seeing the demand for in the industry here. So threat prevention, I mentioned all of these services that typically you would procure a different solution for each one of these capabilities. This threat prevention capability is all built into our single cloud engine service. Each one of those capabilities is simply a flip of a switch to enable a license, and I can now protect against internet traffic, egress traffic with my secure web gateway. I have Firewall-as-a-Service. IPS is simply enabling it and then blocking and mitigating all the risk in that area. DNS security as well. Zero trust network access is a part of the platform. So we can then have a business need to have level only access granted to users for certain applications, resources, and services in your environment. And then CASB, the cloud access security broker that also handles hosted applications, which Gen AI is a big term we've seen thrown around recently. The massive adoption of Gen AI based applications in corporate environments is huge. And we want to enable organizations to embrace innovation and use and leverage these tools for productivity and innovation, but we also want to do that in a secure way that doesn't expose the business and make sure that sensitive data doesn't go to these hosted applications in a way that wasn't intended, which is also what couples together nicely with DLP, or data loss prevention, looking at who's using what applications and how they're using those things, right? And then remote browser isolation is a capability where we enable users to go to questionable websites, but do so in a secure way, where we can give them a rasterized version of that site, where it doesn't expose interacting with JavaScript and other elements that are within a site. So remote browser isolation, still maintaining the ability of productivity to access certain sites, but mitigating the risk in doing so, right? So let's talk about connectivity here briefly. We mentioned that we connect your branch locations, data centers, and cloud environments all to our global backbone. One of the methods of providing that connectivity is a physical appliance, a very simple appliance, that's why it's called a socket. It's as easy as plugging something into the socket on the wall, plugging in a lamp. You plug this thing in and it just works. It creates a DTLS connection to our cloud platform, and creates a high-speed connection that you could then manage all of the security for your environment after you connect your socket appliance at our single policy within our Cato management application, or they call it the CMA, right? And so there are different sizes of the socket appliance, and we'll talk about sizing for that just in a moment. But there are also the ability to provide IPsec connectivity as well. So IPsec, if you have a legacy firewall appliance or you didn't want to put a socket appliance somewhere, you could certainly create an IPsec connection to the backbone and get connectivity and the security in that same way. Secondarily, there is also the Cato client, and the Cato client lives on the workstation of an end user, and this really serves as a VPN client, but it does many more things on top of that. We can help with digital experience monitoring, for example. If you're connected with this client and you have bad Wi-Fi connectivity, or your LAN appliance isn't routing or is down, or you have an application that doesn't respond, we give you hop-by-hop analysis and a breakdown of every step in every hop in the network trying to access an application. If you have problems accessing an application, now the help desk folks within your organization can get down to the root of the problem. We call it time to innocence and time to resolution. How quickly, since the mass adoption of remote work post-COVID, there's a huge spike in tickets against the help desk organization to try to figure out why people have problems accessing applications. Well, now we make that very easy by providing insights all the way from the host level to every hop in the network, all the way down to the application, making it very simple to identify issues. Also, with the Cato client, it operates more like a platform. We have endpoint security built into this Cato client called EPP, or endpoint protection. So not only does it provide that remote connectivity, we can also help with device posture checking. So I can see when a user connects with our client and tries to access an application, I can validate whether or not that is a work issue device with registry keys and a certificate installed before I actually let you upload a file. So we can have device posture checking in between accessing any individual application that I'm authorized to access, right? And so then for other cloud environments, we also have integrations with Amazon or Google, or even or Azure as well, where we can provide IPsec or virtual socket connectivity. And we also support integration with things like interconnect. So ExpressRoute or Fast Connect or Interconnect, we can provide cloud-to-cloud layer 2 level connectivity to these cloud environments as well. And so around the CASB application, or the hosted applications that are used for shadow IT, we have SaaS application optimization. Not only can we see the traffic in line and be able to grant specific users access to those applications, but we can also do smart egress. And so I mentioned things about the network rules, for example. Let's say there's an application that operates out of one region, and you have somebody from somewhere else in the world trying to access that application. We can create simple network rules to say, hey, every time you go to this application, we're going to egress you out of this POP or these IPs or this multiple set of POPs in that region to optimize the connectivity from the Cato cloud to that application. So full control over the network and full control over optimizing your network flows for your users and application traffic. And lastly, AI is built into every part of our platform, including we have an entire a platform around XDR for extended detection and response. And this is anomaly detection. While it's helpful to see every single port and protocol in an environment, audit data is super helpful for forensic investigation. But security teams have event overload. There's so many events that how do you make sense of this and take action from that? So our XDR platform does exactly that. It picks out things that are actionable insights or points of interest. Hey, there was an indicator of compromise, started on Monday, we saw something happen, then we saw something on Wednesday, there's lateral movement. We could tell you an entire story around all the indicators of compromise within an environment. And there's different producers that we have for this. We call them producers. Is it a threat hunting scenario or threat prevention? Or maybe it's a network XDR event or an experience event. Has an application changed in the way that it responds and started to drop in performance? Or do I have an anomaly in my network where something stopped performing, I have dropped packets in a certain area or flapping of an interface or these sorts of things. We can tell you when there's problems on the network by producing an XDR story and everything in human readable format around that from the time that it starts and as it progressed all the way to when you can resolve that. So we're only as good as the data that we have. The better the input. If we have access to all ports and all protocols, we see everything and we do that in a normalized format with our single pass cloud engine. And then we can produce anomalies for that to give your incident response team, network team, and help desk team actionable insights around taking action around that. And then all this to say that we have a single management console with a granular RBAC or roles-based access control. We have rich network and security analytics, everything from application analytics to see performance metrics, who's accessing what applications are on your network, even discovering IoT and OT devices, talking about how AI is built into the platform, classifying what is on your network with make and model and manufacturer and so forth to automatically or dynamically create rules from. And then we have automated posture management with best practices to tell you how to configure this in a secure way to help reduce risk and again, increase productivity, increase innovation in a secure way within your environment. And then it could all be self-serviced or it could be co-managed, which is the partnership we're describing today. We can have you can have an implementation firm come in like EnTelegent and then manage from a project management and implementation perspective, take care of everything on the staff augmentation or processing side of this, where you leverage a single cloud backbone for the Cato SASE cloud platform to manage your connectivity and security. So we talked a little bit about. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
Real quick. Before, there was a lot of information there, and I think everybody appreciates that. I just want to let everybody know if you have any questions, there's a Q&A button at the top. You can ask your questions in there. It's being moderated, and we can get your questions answered along the way also.
Awesome.
Thanks, Brian.
Yes, please do ask questions. We'd be happy to field those questions if they come up. So we talked a little bit about connectivity to the backbone. And we have different models of socket appliances that can provide different levels of connectivity based on the sites and the bandwidth requirements that we have. And so the different models of socket start at the base model of 1500 if it's a smaller branch location or under 500 meg. We also scale up all the way up to a 10 gig appliance as well. And then we have different models for the 1600 appliance that now support Wi-Fi and 5G and LTE. And so if you have those as either your primary, we call it a last mile internet connection. You can have, one ISP connectivity with a backup of LTE to fail over to. You can have multiple internet service providers connected to one socket. So there's ways that we can design this or implement this that is completely redundant. But this is the options that you have for our physical socket or even virtual socket to connect your cloud environments, data centers, or branch locations to the Cato cloud.
So there's a question that came up on that, Brian. Mm-hmm. It is, are there any delays in having equipment available? A lot of other manufacturers are having major delays with inventory.
That has never been an issue for Cato. We have local regional distribution centers. We have inventory to support the business, and that's something that's planned for in advance. And we have inventory ready to go, and it's not an issue that we've ever experienced.
Perfect.
But great question. Great question. And this also goes back to when we own the technology, we're not reliant on third-party other technologies that we integrate with. If we design it from the ground up, we have a lot of control over the way that that's delivered, and we have that inventory kind of built up in a way that we can deliver to support the business demand that we've seen.
And another question just pop up also, and that is, does EnTelegent and Cato conduct technical interviews with the customers, IT staff, to make sure that all the options are identified? And I know on our side, we do. We do some deep questioning. And I know when we're working with Cato, it's going to be our engineers and your engineers working together with the customer and the partner to make sure that we totally understand what they're doing and how it's going to work and recommending the correct solution. Is that?
Absolutely. And to piggyback off of that, we have a very, very skilled set of sales engineering staff that will work with you to scope, identify, understand what the requirements are, and help to architect or design the right solution for that. In some cases, It makes sense to use IPsec connections. In some cases, it makes sense to use interconnect. In some cases, it makes sense to use virtual sockets. So we will help you understand what the environment is that we're looking to deploy for, and then propose a BOM or a build magnitude that's going to give you the right design for what it is that you're going to be working with. And we partner with EnTelegent on this as well.
Perfect.
But absolutely, great question. So we mentioned a little bit about the client and some of the capabilities. It's not just a VPN client. We do a lot more than that at the client level. And so in this case, we have a single installation. This can perform device posture checking, and it has user awareness. So even if you have something like a bastion host, maybe that multiple users go into, we can still detect what users on that machine and be able to restrict and grant access based on identifying what user that is. So me as an end user, if I were to install this on my workstation, I can connect from anywhere, whether it's a Starbucks or my hotspot. And as soon as I connect to the Cato cloud, I now have access to all corporate resources, but I have all this security and all these other benefits that go along with that. So I'm not going to go click on a site that's going to compromise me. It's going to prevent me with secure web gateway. But I also have the benefit of digital experience monitoring. There are synthetic probes that are sent from my workstation to different applications, so I can tell when an application isn't responding for me and why. So giving me insights why I might experience a problem, I can now have the ability to solve my own problem, or even give help desk the ability to identify where that issue is. If I have 45 processes running on my workstation, that might be an issue why I'm experiencing a performance degradation. So we can tell you insights around that as well, even with OS resources local to my workstation as well. And so this does act like a software-defined perimeter. I can connect to the Cato cloud and access any resource, including any other cloud environment, data center, or work or branch location when I connect from the SDP client. This is an example of a screenshot of a dashboard, but what I wanted to do is break down what one of these individual events looks like. We talked about the single pass cloud engine, and what we mean by that is we're able to enrich and attribute each one of these events. Again, it's all ports, all protocols. What I see with this example event here is I see the direction, I see the client, what was accessed for. I see that it was an outbound event, or the direction of the traffic. I see the OS type is Windows. The rule that was triggered was Internet Firewall rule. I see the domain that was accessed is Atlassian, and I see the signature that's triggered, the user. All of this email for every single network flow is enriched. And this is so critical because historically, managing many different solutions to get to a place where I have a normalized data set, it takes some effort, some ETL, to normalize all this data in my SIM, and then I need to go through and create dashboards around that, and then create incident response actions and processes to take action from this. All of this is built in natively to the cloud platform. We see every port, every protocol, we create one data lake, and we do our own XDR analysis using AI on our end to produce actionable insights for you and allow you to manage that with one security rule set and one network optimization rule set as well. This is an example of what one of those normalized events looks like. So I know we've covered quite a bit of different capabilities, and it can seem daunting to take a look at the way a business operates today and talk about a strategy of how to get to more of a modern network design. But all of this doesn't have to happen overnight, right? We can take a gradual approach. It doesn't have to be something that is dealt with in that way of a kind of immediately redesign everything under the sun. You can solve a specific use case first, right? So let's say you have a firewall replacement project, or there's a VPN replacement project, or you have a renewal coming up. It's possible to only take one use case like this and say, today, we're going to redefine the way we do VPN. Let's only do the remote access piece today. And then you could then take on an additional capability, like maybe CASB or DLP would be next, or SD-WAN capability, looking at how your sites are connected. Maybe you have an MPLS, contract expiration. You want to look at how the connectivity between your sites work. So you can do this in very incremental. It doesn't have to be everything, all at once. There's a couple of use cases that we have to share about customers that have taken that approach, using this kind of phased approach here. Maybe we start with new sites only, right? And so we transition those specific sites on a specific timeline, and then you gain, your internet connectivity or your last mile global optimization and routing for those specific locations. And then you can retain security and remote access solutions, right? So you keep some of the solutions you have in place, not replacing everything at one time with a very gradual approach. And one piece at a time, you can then start to modernize your network in that way. A firewall replacement project, for example. Maybe you have direct access to the internet and for your SaaS applications, and you're looking for an effective way of managing that. With firewall replacement, we help you with eliminating the need to patch and configure each one of those devices and appliances, right? And then we give you a cloud native security stack to be able to manage all those capabilities that we've described. So secure web gateway, IPS, remote browser isolation, and then also managing your shadow IT with Cloud Access Security Broker as well, right? So that's an entry point or a candidate for how to start that path down for firewall replacement as well.
And I think there's a question surrounding that one then too, Brian.
Oh, sure.
Are Cato implementations pretty straightforward regarding SASE and Firewall-as-a-Service? And I think you covered that on that one pretty well, knowing that, you're going through this entire process to make sure the firewall replacement is working. But I know that's a big headline that you guys are working on. I think you have another slide coming up, but hopefully we'll see a lot of this coming up in the future with the Firewall-as-a-Service. I think it's the direction a lot of people want to go.
That's a fantastic question, and absolutely, Firewall-as-a-Service is simple, but I would say don't take my word for it. There's a lot of vendors in the space, and double click on it, test stuff, and validate what I'm describing here. How many underlying networks actually are there? How many consoles are there involved in this? What does the policy set actually look like? In the Cato world, it means enabling Firewall-as-a-Service, and there's one set of policies that you have to manage. And we have complete API coverage with the ability to provision and manage all configurations for sites and rules and things like that. So you can even have automated provisioning in the management of this as well. But absolutely, this is available with a single API, a single policy set, a single engine. Whenever you get your sites connected, again, the socket appliance is as simple as plugging a lamp in a wall into the socket, right? As soon as you connect, it's got an IP, and that connectivity, all of a sudden, everything is managed at our cloud level. And so you have the ability to manage all the capabilities you're seeing and described here in these acronyms. Those capabilities are all natively available from one policy set, right?
Perfect.
Acceleration and control here, given the ability to predict your network, we can streamline and optimize that network and make where you can remove risk around the dependencies on different connections between sites. If you have MPLS connectivity in some places and something out over the public internet in other places, and how do you actually manage all this between your clouds? We give that a universal, predictable approach in the way that you provide connectivity to SaaS applications, each of your cloud environments, and each of your physical locations, and a consistent outcome for all of your users, whether they're in the office or they are remote, right? So this is something that we can help, again, reduce risk and improve connectivity and predictability within your business. And we can allow you to, or we enable you to keep MPLS where you want, so you can keep some of those components where they are. If you do have backhauling in place, you can eliminate some of that. We don't need to backhaul everything to one data center. We handle that within our cloud environment, so you can simplify and optimize your network design. And we can even provide connectivity where MPLS isn't feasible. And so again, giving you that connectivity to and from the Cato backbone, whether that's IPsec or interconnect or physical or virtual socket appliances. As soon as you connect it to the backbone, everything is managed with one main policy set. And this also provides that visibility into, or that management of access into hosted applications, whether it be egress to the internet or SaaS applications in that way. Another piece I didn't mention around SaaS application and CASB with Cloud Access Security Broker, we can handle that being inline, where users are connected to the network and going directly to the SaaS application over the Cato backbone. But sometimes people go directly to that hosted application and don't go to Cato. We make it possible to lock down access on a per tenant level to say, I only want people to go to this SaaS application from Cato. So for example, Google Drive, maybe I have a personal Google Drive and I have a corporate Google Drive. We can make it to where you're not able to get to your corporate Google Drive unless you come through Cato to get there first. And so now we give you the ability to restrict access to that, giving you full inline capability of granting and mitigating risk. But at the same time, we also can pull in via APIs from hosted applications all of the audit data from those environments to give you a rich visibility to what's really happening in that. So if somebody does go directly to your corporate Google Drive or a Salesforce or whatever, and they don't go through Cato, we still get that access, that activity, because we pull it into our CASB application via API connectivity. So you have full visibility and management of those SaaS applications. Just a quick plug on the CASB capability there. And lastly, we have a VPN replacement or zero trust network access kind of use case or scenario here. So as you build this out, again, it doesn't have to be boil the ocean, do everything at one time. We can help you with, if there's a VPN technology that you're using today, we can replace that with our remote access, which gives you all the other capabilities we've been describing. Endpoint security, experience monitoring, DLP, all these things are now a capability that you have access to manage if you're only looking at VPN or zero trust network access as an initial use case. So we don't have to replace all of your MPLS and everything else at the same time. This could just be the one piece of project that you can start with. And lastly, I'm sorry, go ahead.
I had another question pop up.
Sure.
It says all of the visibility that you're showing is great, but how does EnTelegent and Cato provide the proactive alerting to the customer when there's an issue?
That's a fantastic question. And so I mentioned how we have space or this single pass cloud engine. We see all of this data. We have AI models that run with our XDR platform that will generate stories for actionable insights. Those stories can be sent to an external platform like Intelligence Platform or like a ServiceNow via webhook in real time. Hey, something happened here. You need to know about that. We put that directly in your hands, and you can take action in your system that you use today that has an SLA tied to it with resources and processes set up ready to take action off of that. And we have a very close working relationship together with EnTelegent where we can make this very actionable and we can put the data wherever you need it, however your team consumes that. But great question. Security teams often, I'm sorry, go ahead.
Oh, no, I think the other piece of that is with our managed services that we do, we have Cato built in there already that we can actually manage or hybrid manage with the customer if they need to, and pull that information into Logic Monitor so they have that consistent look that they've always had, get a little bit more information than maybe they would get out of the Cato. I know you guys have tons of reporting, but if they can keep it similar, and especially if they're going through this phase process, it really gives them that same experience all the way through.
Yeah, great question. Our data is only as effective as our ability to put that in the hands of the right people at the right time. If you can't do it at the right time, it becomes ineffective. But we have real-time webhook integrations to push that to any system that you would want. And to what Mark was describing there around how the end users are typically accustomed to consuming that data, we want to put it right where that is. So if you have an existing process, an existing dashboard, an existing report, we will put it exactly where that is so your teams can take action, your customers can take action from that in real time as those incidents or stories are generated and those anomalies are detected, right? Great questions. Lastly, and this is kind of a pain point for many organizations around the topic of M&A with divestiture. A friend of mine was a network operations administrator for a pharmaceutical company, and they're going through divestiture. We have to split the network, literally divide all the resources, all the CyberArks and all the SIMs and all the technologies he has just to create two different networks. And at the time, they didn't have a technology to be able to create security between these two networks, and they were left exposed during this period of transition. Or if there are assets that are acquired, now the business wants to see ROI off of that new asset that they've acquired. How do we provide remote connectivity to this separate network in a secure way? So Cato, we keep it simple. You connect with a socket appliance, you connect with IPsec, connect with interconnect, and as soon as you connect it to the backbone, a set of policies will grant who can access to what service can talk to the other service that becomes a part of our native backbone or mesh. Now it's just another site that you have. So very, very, very simple management of mergers and acquisition and divestiture. And that's also a great starting point because that's typically one of the challenges that organizations would have is how do we then connect these things together and what are the resources and processes it's going to take to provide that bidirectional connectivity and maintain security in the process. So again, this is a good candidate for a starting point to help to future-proof or modernize your network. M&A capabilities made simple.
I think this is a really good solution we have a lot of folks, and some of them on this call, that work with VCs and M&A firms, and they want to start realizing, savings as soon as they can. And part of our service is we can manage pretty much any SD-WAN version out there. So we take those things over as they're moving over to their where they're going to take them eventually, and we can reduce those IT services at those companies that they're purchasing. This just adds another piece into that we can add that more security and more ease into that entire solution.
Absolutely, great point. Yeah, so really, and then the last piece here is around last mile optimization. We can monitor your last mile and tell you when there's an issue, if there's an issue, and help you optimize that connectivity. Overall, reducing CapEx spend. Again, you don't have to manage the patching and configuration of appliances. There's no complex policy changes. There's only one policy set that we can help manage this. And so you can end of life a lot of the legacy hardware. Again, going back to the first slide with all the different solutions that provide specific capabilities, if you can converge that down to one dashboard and one set of policies, business operations become simple, risk is reduced, and I think that Gartner says it that complexity is the enemy of security, because the more solutions that we have in place, it creates more complexity, more opportunity for there to be an issue. And the simpler that we can streamline our networks, then we get to focus on more strategic aspects of operating a business as opposed to managing, patches and configurations and that sort of thing.
I think Gartner also, quoted, and I think I saw it in your guys' literature, which was by 2029, 90% of IT CIOs want to reduce to a single SASE solution, single provider SASE solution.
Absolutely. And then it's all about what the operating model, the management of efficiency, and how can you scale and provision to the need of the business, right?
Right.
So with MPLS replacements, there's a kind of a timeline or example project that we can kind of share what that looks like. So we have all the way from the very beginning of the preparation for that, the gradual rollout of the client. Again, we've got a lot of experience working with thousands of customers that have gone through this transformation to more of a modernized network, but a breadth of experience both from the EnTelegent team and the Cato team here to support. But this is what that can look like. The end game can be you have a single network, single policy, single data store, and that sort of thing. And there's individual steps that we could take to get there, but it doesn't need to happen immediately or as the first step. You can take an incremental approach that we've been describing with some of the use cases that we've gone over with customer experiences that we've had. Here's an example of one of our customers that started with one site, 1,000 users. Next year, kind of increased that. And again, with the gradual approach here, have then got to the outcome of all 44 of their sites and 14,000 users in multiple regions, and then adding additional capabilities, supporting that work from anywhere in a secure way, with a gradual approach over the course of a couple of years to get to that outcome. Again, going back to the way that policies are managed, there was a question about how are these, what does the Firewall-as-a-Service look like? These are simple checkboxes that you can enable. I want to enable anti-malware, or I want to enable IPS. And so when I click that on and now all of a sudden have those capabilities, I can manage all the rules inside of that. I can see all the event traffic for each one of those things, but every license or every capability is a simple flip of a switch. There's no additional hardware or configurations or patching or complexity that's introduced with that. Nothing to deploy, nothing to configure. And again, going back to the to some of the benefits here, I'll let Mark kind of highlight some of the value propositions of the partnership here as well.
Thanks. Leading network management security. I mean, we're putting all of this together into a single place. We're bringing together the engineering teams. We're bringing together the project management teams, the reporting, the billing. All of it's being brought into a single place, and both of our companies work together to make all that happen. I think you've got industry-leading network management and security. We show a way to show network value and optimization. Part of what we've been doing over the course of time is showing people how we can save them money within the entire environment that they have to allow them to do other things that they want to do. The enhanced management reporting is extremely important. Data is extremely important. If we can get it to you in a way that makes more sense and it's usable for the organization, You're going to use, they're going to use it, you're going to use it, and everybody's going to benefit from that. And then we take on our side, a lot of those menial tasks and things that people don't like to do out of their hands and do them for them. So now you have better resource allocation across the organization. So us two working together, doing all those things, means a lot. And I think we have another shared philosophy is we can phase through a lot of these things. Not many people buy every product we have right away, just like they don't necessarily do that with Cato. And I think we have a shared mindset with that, that let's start with one thing, show what we can do, and then we just continue to grow that across the organization. And it works really well. I don't think we have any other questions that have come up. I know that we do have one last piece of business too. So if they're for next steps, if there are any questions, reach out to us. We will be able to answer all those for you between the two of us. If you have any other things that you need to do, let us know. If you have some customers you want to take a look at, let's take a look at that and have some conversations. We'll get the Cato engineers on with us, and we'll talk through them and see if it's a good fit. And we do have a pair of Meta sunglasses to give, Meta Ray-Bans to give away, and I have been told that the winner has been drawn, and it is Robert McClellan. So congratulations, Robert.
Congratulations, Robert. Excellent.
Yeah, so he'll be able to take some time this summer and have some Meta glasses and look cool. Ryan, thank you so much for being on. This has been very enlightening. We appreciate all of your insight, and hopefully we'll be bringing you some things to look at here in the near future.
Awesome. Thank you, everybody, for joining, and thank you guys for your time.
Thanks all for joining. Look forward to talking to you soon.
All right. Thank you, everyone.